Yeah, look at what I get to start out doing today. This sure changed since last night. I don't know. Don't know if I want to hit that or not. Oh, looks like the mail's already gone today? No, I can't. Sure looks like it though. I didn't think so. I didn't think so. That's a little bit of snow. Oh boy. Yeah. Let's give her. That's powdery. Where am I going to go though? Oh, well, so much for that idea. That looks like a car sitting there. Okay, well, come on, truck. Yeah. Alright, well, I don't know where I'm going to go once I get in there because it looks like the whole yard's full. And last night I got my feet wet. And well, they were cold, then they got wet. For about 2 hours I didn't feel my feet last night. Alright, I gotta decide what I'm gonna do here. Okay, I gotta do something. I don't have much gas, so let's see what happens. Stay over here on the thin side. And like I was afraid, where am I going to go? Holy crud. Whoa. Yeah, where? Yeah. I made it through, but I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get to the shop without getting my feet soaked. I'm snowblind, so hopefully you guys are seeing this. I can't see hardly on the little screen. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? It must be a little warmer out today. Actually, I should check. So I realized well, no, it says 5 degrees. So I don't know if it's fact I've been moving more or what, but it's late in the afternoon and I'm sorry I didn't pick up the camera earlier. I did something and I kind of found out what's going on. See the hone here, I got my old, I think that thing's got 550 RPM or something. It's good. It's a high torque drill, which unfortunately I got, there's a stop I'm after that will go up on here and it'll stop you from getting it too deep and nicking your stones. So yeah, I nicked my stones. Anyway, that is that 327 I brought home a while back. Well, the kid told me about what happened to the one piston. The reason two were missing, he had to steal the rod for another motor, but the one piston, he said, we broke the chunk out of it. And usually when you break a chunk out of a piston, I'll use this for example, that's where your ring gap comes into being important. Forgot about that. When you got floating pistons, there's one style of retainer. So I picked the one with oil in it. So let's see if we got one without oil. Okay, there we go. We got one without oil. And where's the ring? And without a ring. That's okay. I think one of these was missing a ring. But anyway, that's where you're... That one's got gunk in it. I'm getting dirty trying to show you guys. Yeah, I know. No such thing as a clean mechanic, but anyway, you goofy cat. I don't know why that cat likes chewing on plastic, but he does. Okay, we'll go back to our topic here. Usually when you break this area of the piston off right there, when that breaks off, that means your ring gap was too tight. Your ring gap there. What happens with some of these pistons is the farther up they move this ring, it helps increase the compression. And also what it does is put more heat on that ring. Well, if it expands, and here we'll roll this one off and show you. If it expands while it's in that piston and it closes up and touches and it's still trying to expand, well, that ring starts grabbing the cylinder wall and eventually it just snaps the chunk of the piston off, and then the rest after that is just products of the pieces coming apart. So he said that's what happened in that. Well, I verified the micrometer and dial indicator, and I checked everything, got everything, and I'm right on. Well, and while I was honing that motor, I found out the cylinders were all undersized, and I still got 6 of the old pistons, so I checked them. For what I got set for clearance now with the old pistons is perfect. I found 2 cylinders that were small, and I compared the pistons, they were too tight. So if they were running tight ring gaps and tight piston clearances, so now I know once I get the new set of pistons I will double check it again, because I got to replace the pistons if I want to make this thing 327. And that explains why some other 30 over pistons I tried sitting in there were tight, because this thing was fitted. And that's the reason why you shouldn't just pull a set of 30 overs out of one block and try and put them into another, because it may not work. Because if you fit the pistons, which if the manufacturing of pistons was dead nuts on every single time, you, in theory, should be able to bore a block 30,000ths, hone it to give you your your clearance 2 to 6, 7 thousandths for some pistons. That's if you're using old stuff. You should be able to bore that, but in the reality, everything's not precise. So that's why when a machinist works on your motor, they prefer to have the pistons that you're putting in that block. So if there is a variance in size, that's why they're fitted. And that's why you really can't take one piston from another cylinder and put... You can on some, but sometimes. So, and the higher the quality, chances are the better the fit. And if you're using cheap engine rebuild kits, you're getting not the best, but they work. They'll work. So, I guess, and then I've had questions about the cam bearings again, which that's fine. I mean, you guys don't learn if you don't ask questions, and the person got his motor back, and they put the cam bearings in. They didn't line up with the mains, but he said when it didn't register, but when the block's upside down, it's at the 10 and 2 o'clock position, which when you roll it around, that puts it at the 7 and 5 position, which is still too low. So when I put them in upside down, I put them in at the 7 and 5 position when it's upside down, so then it'll be at 10 and 2 when it's up there. Because you want that oil, as it comes in from the top and goes around that cam bearing, you want the oil to find that cam bearing, and he's putting it in a boat, which I think that's kind of makes sense. since the boat runs backwards, you'd want the oil hole at the 10 o'clock position, so that way when the oil goes by, the oil gets in there and it rides the cam down and gives it its cushion. We've had arguments about this before with the cam bearing placement, but I've pulled motors down where we've had the cam bearing hole lined up with the main. Until that gets back pressure, that camshaft is not getting any oil, and every one of those bearings I've pulled out that were positioned like that, compared to the ones that were put in correctly, have the ones that were lined up have a lot of wear. The ones that were put in correctly, almost good enough to reuse, but once you drive them out, you got it. Yeah. So I think he's going to replace those bearings, and then I am trying to figure the furnace shuts off and everything else, and of course it's the daughter again. Wish I had a function of playing back so I could, well, I know I could play back, and but anyway, so yeah, the cam bearings and that. So that motor, depending on what I do, it could be, I'm still deciding on whether I'm going to make it the 327 or turn it back into a 350, but I think right now I am going to turn it into the 350. I do have some, well, I could check those. I mean, I guess it really don't make a difference. Nah, I'm going to leave those in that. Yeah, this one's going to be the 327 again. So yeah, and then now I gotta put stuff away and go grab the scanner and go check out a car that the guy switched the motor. He took a supercharged 3800 out of one Pontiac and then put in a normal 3800, and now it won't start. Well, I've told him that the computer, well, he went to the one shop in town, and they're like, oh no, you just need to hook up. Anyway. And you know, at night I take all these books home and that, and then I never look at them. So I think I'm going to stop carrying my books back and forth, because all I'm doing is wearing them out. Well, I shouldn't say I never look at them. I look at them, I read them. By the time I'm getting home, I'm just so tired I usually fall asleep on it. So, but yep, I had the dial bore gauge all set up, and then it just, oh yeah, speaking of that, battery's going to be dead. I had that set at the bore size, and it doesn't have an automatic shut off on that one. My other one does, but that one there's a little more precise. So yeah, we're getting right in there, and Saturday's already going to be busy. It's going to be washing blocks, and well, that's right, I don't have an air compressor. And I got my trailer, and if my air compressors are in there, yeah, I ain't getting those out until spring. Well, after the snowstorm last night, yeah, I ain't getting those out until melt. I can't get to the trailer right now, it's buried. So, yeah. Might have to... Oh! I think I got an air compressor over here under the bench. All I need is something to move. I just have to get, I think, the fitting. Oh, I'll have to look. I forgot about that one. I had another one, and then the guy convinced me to sell it. Well, yeah. So, yeah, I'm sorry I forgot to pick up the camera and film or video the honing of this block, but I thought I took a lot out, but now that after miking it, measuring and comparing, I didn't take much out of it at all. The cylinders that were small on the bottom end, I think I've got them loosened up, but yeah, there was like 3 or 4 cylinders that were small. I'm like, well, how did they do that? So, but according to the bore gauge and what I've measured, it's good to go now. They're straight. I mean, there's no taper in the walls, which I was a little worried that was going to happen, but nope, no taper. It's ready. So when I go to put the cam bearings in, and that will give the show and tell on that, but I guess it's time to put stuff away and then go and check out this car and see what's going on. Yeah, I just got, yeah, that stuff I can move in the morning. Just making sure, because, like I said, I got stuff coming in the morning that I'm going to have to, well, some of it's tore down. One of them has still got a crank in it. But that's fine and dandy. And, yeah. So, thinking out loud again, so. Or thinking to myself and not saying nothing. So I guess that's where we're at. Because the stuff I picked up the other day, I do have the crank that's going in this. If I do the 327, is a 1010 cast crank, which I've already got the bearings on up on the shelf. Yeah. I just need a set of pistons and rings, then I could put the short block together. I've got cam bearings, and then we can wrap it up and put it in the corner. Well, actually, I should have the heads that came off this. I'm thinking about putting back on it. They were the small valve truck heads, but who cares? It runs. It's not no big horsepower machine or nothing. So just another good running 3 motor. So, I guess. It's the building techniques, and then I got to wash this one, and well, now that I've got it honed, it's ready to be washed, but I'm not going to wash it until it's ready to go together this time. So that way it gets together and done, and I don't know what I'm going to put on for an intake because I'm running out of intakes. So anyway. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you about, but maybe since I forgot, I won't. We might have a lead on some stuff. Be a hell of a road trip, but be worth it. So, have to stay tuned and see if it happens or not. So, see y'all later. Have a good one.